Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
The White House has vowed to fight the news media tooth and nail over what officials see as unfair attacks on President Trump. The new president has taken issue with estimates of the size of the crowd at his inauguration on Friday. He claims at least 1 million people attended. Aerial photographs appear to tell a different story, as our North America editor John Sopel explains.
The weightiest issues on the planet were discussed at Donald Trump's inaugural address. But what the president is in a white rage about are suggestions that the crowds for him weren't as big as they were for Barack Obama 8 years ago, even though the evidence is incontrovertible, as these two photos, each taken 45 minutes before the inauguration started, make plain.
There's about another 220,000.
But last night, journalists were summoned to the most extraordinary White House briefing to be told they were lying.
This was the largest audience to ever witness an inauguration, period. This kind of dishonesty in the media, the challenging that bringing about our nation together is making it more difficult. There's been a lot of talk in the media about the responsibility to hold Donald Trump accountable. And I'm here to tell you that it goes two ways. We're going to hold the press accountable as well.
No questions were allowed.
I will see you on Monday.
Earlier in the day from Donald Trump on a visit to CIA headquarters, a similar attack, though this time the target different.
As you know, I have a running war with the media. They are among the most dishonest human beings on earth. And they sort of made it sound like I had a feud with the intelligence community.
But hang on a minute, how do you reconcile the suggestion that it's all got up by the journalists when he tweeted this 11 days ago? He accused the intelligence services of leaking material against him and suggested their behaviour made it seem as though we were living in Nazi Germany. And today, key lieutenants were intensifying their attacks.
There's an obsession by the media to delegitimize this president, and we are not going to sit around and let it happen.
Our press secretary gave alternative facts to that.
Look, alternative facts are not facts. They're falsehoods.
Part of this maybe can be put down to Donald Trump's obsession with the size of his crowd, but there is deliberate strategy here too. It seems the White House wants to undermine the conventional media so that Donald Trump is able to present his own version of reality through Twitter and Facebook without any mediation, and say to the public, who do you believe, me or the establishment media? And while this battle plays itself out, the satirists are making hay. This is their take on what Vladimir Putin makes of it all.
I'm glad to see so many people showed up to your inauguration. Oh wait, that's the Women's March. Here is inauguration.
John Sopel, BBC News, Washington.
Alternative facts. The new order of the White House. That's what Mr. Trump's team is calling the cascade of false truths that have been dominating the new president's first day and a half. He is now locked in a bitter row with the media over the numbers that attended his inauguration. Contrary to photographic evidence, he and his officials claimed that more people had turned out than ever before. All this might appear trivial, but is it a sign of what's to come? Our international editor Lindsay Hilsum has this report.
So does President Trump know what's reality and what's a show? The stars on the CIA wall represent fallen officers whose identity must remain secret. The new president scarcely acknowledged that. He had other things on his mind.
That, as you know, I have a running war with the media. They are among the most dishonest human beings on earth. What?
The cheers are from mainly junior officers who won a lottery to be there. Senior officers who can't be shown for security reasons reportedly remained stony-faced. In fact, and we'll come back to that word, President Trump excoriated the intelligence community over reports of his alleged misbehavior in Russia.
Disgraceful that the intelligence agencies allowed any information that turned out to be so false and fake out. And that's something that Nazi Germany would have done and did do.
What was really eating him was that TV pictures showed fewer people attended his inauguration than Obama's.
I said, wait a minute. I made a speech. I looked out. The field was, it looked like 1.5 million people. They showed a field where there were practically nobody standing there.
But the comparison photos used by the US media show more people further down the mall during Obama's first inauguration, because there were more people. His press secretary was sent out to argue the point.
We know that 420,000 people used the DC Metro public transit yesterday, which actually compares to 317,000 that used it for President Obama's last inaugural. This was the largest audience to ever witness an inauguration, period, both in person and around the globe.
Well, that's not true. 7 million fewer watched on TV in the US than for Obama's first inauguration. And the Washington, D.C. Metro says far more people used their trains for both of Obama's inaugurations. He said white floor coverings made it look like fewer people.
This was the first time in our nation's history that floor coverings have been used to protect the grass in the mall.
That's not true either. They were used at Obama's last inauguration. Today's talk show hosts were talking of falsehoods.
No, it doesn't. Don't be so overly dramatic about it, Chuck. You're saying it's a falsehood, and they're giving Sean Spicer, our press secretary, gave alternative facts to that.
Look, alternative facts are not facts. They're falsehoods.
Yesterday, President Trump drove past the Women's March. Crowd scientists say 3 times as many people turned out than for his inauguration. Day one. And he's still more interested in his ratings and his hatred of the media than presidential concerns of legislation, policy, and America's role in the world.
Lindsay Hilson reporting. Well, now, in our hour of need for facts as opposed to alternative facts, I've been trying to talk to Trump's advisors. First, his chief of staff, Reince Priebus, and then his ideological confidant, Newt Gingrich.
Trump at war with the media.
When you're going to ask Mr. Trump to behave presidentially?
Excuse me, we're going.
I think he's doing a great job.
Do you think he's actually playing the role that he should be playing as the President of the United States? Do you think his behavior is actually defensible?
Absolutely.
Should he not be behaving presidentially, at least?
Well, I think the way the president behaves is by definition presidential. I think that's what you guys got to get used to. He's like Margaret Thatcher. He's not like Ronald Reagan. I remember this great moment when Thatcher spoke to the Tory national annual meeting. Well, she was still minority opposition leader, and she at one point said, "People ask me what our policy is," and she pulled out this huge volume of the Constitution of Liberty by Hayek, and she slams it on the desk, and she says, "This is what we're about. We're
That's
about
not
liberty."
what Mr. Trump does. He would never have read Hayek.
No, but the point I'm making is what she did was rather unusual for a British Prime Minister.
Yes, but
And he'll be fairly unusual.
But she was well-mannered.
She was well-mannered in a different time and place. And we're now having this lovely double standard, which you guys never applied to Barack Obama. Never. No matter how often he lied.
Newt Gingrich.